So, how do we live a life of purpose? The interesting thing is, many of us are already living a life of purpose. We don't even realize it. Oh, yes. And the reason why we don't realize that we're living a life of purpose is simply because we're looking at all the wrong places. If you remember when I told you that in my 20s, I linked purpose with being a pastor or just being someone working actively in the church or in a church related field. But I was so wrong. And like I said, it took me stumbling into a scripture, and I will share that part of the Bible soon with you. It took that scripture for me to understand what purpose basically is. And the moment I realized this, it kind of set me free because I soon realized that as much as purpose is a spiritual thing, it is not tied to any religious work at all. It isn't. It's spiritual, but it's not tied to a religious work. I'm not saying that religion is not part of purpose. For some people, their purpose is directly tied to a religious work. But some, no, it's not. And as we go on in this discussion, you will find out why I'm saying it's not linked to a religion. So, purpose, you will find out soon, is a process. Purpose is not something that you wake up and have a eureka moment. No. Purpose is a process. Just as it's a process, also it evolves. Purpose is constantly evolving. Purpose is not a destination. You do not discover your purpose and say, yes, I'm there, complete, mission accomplished. No, it is constantly evolving. The more you know about yourself, the more you become more aware of yourself, and the more in tune you are to your inner voice, the more you begin to understand purpose. Now, how do you live a life of purpose? I'll start with human beings. Man is made up of a spirit, he has a soul and lives in a body. Now, purpose is something that basically meets the needs of mankind. So, if we talk about man being spirit, soul, and body, it means that purpose will have to meet the needs of the spirit. It will meet the needs of the soul. It will meet the needs of the body. Now, for some people, their purpose will cut across all three, or maybe one or two, or just one. But it doesn't make one purpose lesser than the other. It doesn't make one purpose greater than the other. No, everyone is needed. Everybody is essential because we all need one another to make this earth what it's meant to be, to make this earth a functioning place for each one of us. So, if I talk about you living a life of purpose and meeting the needs of the spirits, that's where your pastors come in. All your spiritual leaders, your missionaries, they all come in here. They meet the needs of the spirits. Then you talk about the soul, your musicians, your artists. They feed the soul because we need them. The soul needs those things to thrive. You talk about the body. You need your healthcare professionals to keep this body running, and every other profession that tends to the human body. So you then realize that purpose is not just tied to a spiritual work. It can be anything as long as it's meeting a human need. Now, we can also look at purpose from a different perspective, and I will be looking at it from the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When I saw this pyramid, when I was first introduced to this pyramid, of course, it was not in line with purpose, but the more I thought about living a life of purpose, I realized that it could be linked to this pyramid. Now, this pyramid has got 5 levels. You've got the physiological side, safety and security, love and belonging, esteem, and self actualization. And now, when it comes to physiological needs, you're just basically talking about the biological requirements for human survival: air, food, water, shelter, clothing, and sleep. I'm sure you know somebody who is out there somewhere in Africa trying to give people good water. That is someone living a life of purpose. There is someone out there fighting for clean air. That's someone living a life of purpose. There is someone making sure that people have clothes on their back. That's someone living a life of purpose. Oh, and there is someone out there who is trying to help people who are suffering from lack of sleep to be able to sleep, because we all need sleep. That's purpose. Now, talk about safety and security. This is where all your law enforcement people come in. This is where education comes in. This is where healthcare comes under. You talk about social welfare. So you can imagine how many professions falls into this category. So I'm sure you already know 1 or 2 people who live a life of purpose already. You probably might be one of them living a life of purpose. Yes, you social worker. How many kids have you saved your lives? How many elderly people have you been there for? Have you brought hope to? Yes, even you, the doctor, the physiotherapist, the radiologist, we all, at one point in time, we are living a life of purpose. Now, love and belonging, you'll wonder, trust me, your parents are living a life of purpose. Yeah. Do you know that mom who lives down the street, who loves every child, who would open her doors to even the kids whose parents are not available, who would shower that love? Do you know that auntie? Oh, who has got such a big heart, who would take everyone in. Oftentimes we call them Mother in Israel or Mother Teresa. They always go the extra mile for people. You're wondering where they fall into? This is where they fall into. They are living a life of purpose. Social groups, support groups, befriending services, they all fall into all this. Now you're wondering, maybe I'm living a life of purpose. Exactly. Maybe you are already living a life of purpose. Now, esteem is another level in the Maslow hierarchy of needs. And what's that? That's self-worth, accomplishments, and respect. We all want this, and somehow some of us can't seem to find our self-worth simply because of things that may have happened in the past. But guess what? We do have people who meet this need too. Self-actualization. Every one of us need to aim to achieve our purpose, to reach, to actualize our potential. But sometimes we find that it's not as easy as most people may present it to be. And guess what? That's where you've got your spiritual leaders. That's where you've got coaches like myself to help you achieve that purpose, to help you actualize your potential, to be the very best that you are meant to be. We're there to push you so that you can be that very best self that you want to be. So you then see every one of us somehow on this pyramid, we all have a place in fulfilling purpose. Then